Hello and welcome to the channel. This is Steel City Knives. Right, I've got another video for you, and I know I say it all the time, but after the 5th, I should be having a lot more free time, so I'll be able to post a bit more regular. But I felt this is a really important video to do and get out there, really. And what we're going to be doing, I don't know what the thumbnail is called. I've not quite thought of a title for it yet, but we're going to be shining the light on the acquisition that's going on at the moment. From Durham Duplex actually buying the handmade side of knife making off of the Eggington Group. So this is an historic time that we're witnessing in cutlery history, really, and we're a part of. So, and hopefully after watching this video, it will put to bed a lot of maybe misinformation out there or worries or anything like that, and we'll all feel a bit positive going forward. So I've got a bit of inside information. I've spoke to people, so I kind of know the direction in which it's going in. We're going to be showing statements and things like that. We're going to be also doing some cool stuff and having a look at the actual cutlers within the companies and some of the stuff that they produce and where they are. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Right, before we start though, I'm going to do a bit of self-promotion here. So I love Sheffield. I think we all know that. I'm called Steel City. That's for my love of Sheffield, but also there's steel cities all around the world. I just love traditional cutlery in general, but you know, I show knives of all sorts. But some of the videos that I've done previously on my channel that shine a bit of light on Sheffield as a whole is I've done a brief bit of information about the Eggington Group. I've done a brief video on that. I've done a video that I loved. I really did love doing this video, and I'm really pleased with how it came out. And that's the cutlers left in Sheffield. And after finishing that, I felt really positive about it's not so much about the quantity. Obviously, pocket knives and cutlery is not as popular as it was back then, so it would only make sense that you wouldn't have as many companies out there. But the companies that we do have are still doing things in a very traditional way. Really brilliant cutlers within those companies. It's a very harmonious industry in Sheffield. They all speak very highly of one another and rub shoulders with one another, and it's just a brilliant it was a brilliant video to do. I paid homage to some old cutlers in it, and some people like Grace Horn. I just really enjoyed doing that video. So if you've not watched that already, give it a watch, and drop me a comment on it as well to tell me what you thought of it. And then obviously I've done a video on the famous Sheffield shop, which was an experience in its own, going in there and talking to the staff. And you guys clearly loved that video because it's probably one of my most watched videos of my time on YouTube. And then also I've done this video on Kelham Island Museum. Now don't let the title put you off. I am one of these people that do not frequent museums very often, but knife museums all day long, and that is what I mainly show on Kelham Island Museum, is old knives or knives. It's the Ken Hawley collection, and you're probably sick and tired of me mentioning Ken Hawley, but he collected a lot of things from Sheffield, and now unfortunately he's passed away, but what is part of his collection is on display there, and some phenomenal knives. So if you haven't watched that, give it a watch. Right, let's get on with the video. Right, I'm going to be linking loads of channels and things underneath this video, but we're going to talk about the cutlers on the shop floor, and their jobs are secured and why not, because they have Stephen Cocker there. Now, Stephen Cocker is a fascinating guy to talk about. He made his first knife at 9 years old. He still has it, and hopefully I'll get a picture of it and we'll show it when I do a special of his. But he went against everything. I've watched a lot of his podcasting interviews now. I'm lucky enough to speak to the man himself, but a lot of people sort of told him not to sort of get into the trade. It's a dying trade, and he persevered. And he's rubbed shoulders and been trained by some of the greats, some of the real great cutlers. You know, I'll name drop a few here. So I know he's rubbed shoulders with people like Graham Clayton, Peter King, Ken Law, Trevor Ablett, and Stan Shaw. So he's been trained by the best. He's a massive advocate for history and heritage. He spreads himself so thin. He really does give everything to the industry. He gives talks at Kelham Island Museum. He trains the younger generation. He, like I say, he's on podcasts promoting and I'll link a few podcasts of his down below this, because he's just a fascinating guy to listen to. The way he talks about the tooling and things like that is just phenomenal. Some of the cover materials, how he's got a workshop in his back garden with a line shaft that they used back in the day. It's just phenomenal. I've got some of his knives that he does on the side, sort of custom knives that I'll be showing on the channel hopefully soon, and talking more about Stephen Cocker, because I like I say, I love all the cutlers in Sheffield. I really do, and they all get on really well. But Stephen is one of those ones that does give just that little bit. I mean, with the talks and things like that, he really does have a love for the history and the heritage. On some of his podcasts, he talks about going into skips and saving some of the catalogues and things like that. I did a video recently on this knife here, and I'm absolutely enamoured with it. I've just bought another one, actually, a half one, and I've got a couple coming from Stephen Cotter. It's a Wharncliffe Whittler, originally done by sort of Joseph Rodgers, but as you can see here, if you look at the tang stamp here, it's a James Barber. And when I did that video, he sent me the original catalogues for this knife, if I ever wanted to do a deep dive on the video. He just loves it. He's like us. He's one of us. He's a big knife geek or fan or whatever you want to call it, but he does. He loves the history and the heritage around it. He's actually in a book that I need to get, actually. I'll put the book up here. And that's what I mean. They're at this company, so there's a bit of a dream team, and we're going to be talking about it. So you've got Stephen Cocker, and you've got a guy called Charles Turner who has bought them, and we'll talk about them both, because, like I say, all the doom and gloom that videos have been out here saying, of all the things that's going to happen to the company, couldn't be further from the truth, and hopefully this video will shine some light on that. So while I'm here, Stephen Cocker's got his own YouTube channel, well worth a watch, got some phenomenal videos on there. You've got the Ken Hawley collection, another brilliant YouTube site that I absolutely love. And obviously I'm always promoting Name on a Knife Blade for any Sheffield cutlery companies. Has so much information. That's part of the Ken Hawley sort of collection. And again, I always talk about Ken in such a fondness, but there's people still keeping that going. There's a committee still keeping that going. Unfortunately, I don't know them by name, but I know there's a lot of work that goes in the background around Sheffield to preserve and keep all this history and heritage going. I salute you. I really do. I think, I couldn't respect and thank you enough, because I know there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background, and people putting their own time and effort in to keep these, keep the knowledge and history going. And then, what else we got? Then there's the Sheffield Museum channel. That's another phenomenal channel that's got a lot of brilliant videos on, but they're just a few. And I'll link some of the pages down below in the description. Right, so let's talk about the Eggington Group then, because the story in itself is a phenomenal story, and they looked after these companies for such a long period of time, really. We owe them a debt of gratitude, and I love the story. It's very heartwarming. So in the 70s and the 80s was a real decline in sort of cutlery in general, and we lost a lot of companies, and sales weren't doing well, and a lot of the companies were going under and getting bought. Now, this is a time when Schrade bought a lot of the names, and I love Schrade. I love American cutlery anyway. I love Zolingen, Sheffield, and American cutlery, and they're all entwined together, and their paths do cross quite a bit, and they do have a lot of impact on one another. But yeah, Schrade bought the companies. Now, unfortunately, and I own a few of those knives that were made under that, and there's some phenomenal videos out there on people that have got some of those knives. In fact, I think Rasputin's Castle did a special on that, which is a brilliant video to watch. I've got the Canoe, and I've got the big Stockman. But yeah, it's a fantastic period in their time to a certain degree. I loved those two, the companies coming together. It was brilliant. Now, but what happened in Sheffield was there was a company called the Eggington Group. Now, they just deal with sharpening steels, but they were ran really well. They was a really successful company, and they went around buying all these companies. And so what we had then was the Eggington Group, an umbrella company with all these other companies that they looked after. And it was, that was successful for a great period of time. And probably, I don't know the full ins and outs. I don't know if Durham Duplex just went and bought them or whether they were struggling. I don't know any of the ins and outs. All I know is they ran them successfully for many years. And, they have, and to this day, they have the website up and running, and you can still buy knives off that website. And it's a fantastic website. I love their website. It's very professionally done. It's got some brilliant information on there, some brilliant history on there, and you can still buy knives from there. It's still up and running, and that's the place to go and buy the brands at the moment. Now, there is another website that they own called Sheffield Collectibles. Now, that one is been taken down, and there's a statement out there telling you the reasons. And again, it puts a link down there forwarding you to the Eggington Group website. And that's what I mean, they're very harmonious. Now, Durham Duplex will then bring that site back up after the acquisition, and that's, I think, the site that they'll be selling their knives from. So, a lot going on, but like I say, you can still get the knives. They're still widely available at the Eggington Group, and then as soon as the acquisition's taken part, you can buy them from Sheffield Collectibles. So, one to look out for, and I'll put the links down in the description below this video. But let's talk about the Eggington Group then. So, because I love this story, it's absolutely brilliant. So, they rescued them all in the 70s and 80s, and had them for that great period of time. So, that's where they are now, and that's where Durham Duplex come in. Now, Durham Duplex have bought the some of the brands and the handmade side. So they've got Stephen Cocker and the Cutlers that are associated with the company. So they're just moving over to Durham Duplex now. So Durham Duplex is a company that has been in Sheffield since 1910. I think originally it was an American company, but they've came over here, and since being here, they're really deep rooted in Sheffield, and they are phenomenally rooted in, because the owner, a guy called Charles Turner, was actually master cutler, and I've got a picture of him here with some of the people from the Eggington Group, and Stephen Cocker's in there as well. So Master Cutler is an official title within Sheffield, and the whole role of it is to be an ambassador of industry in Sheffield and England. So, as you can imagine, it's gone to the right person. If he was a master cutler, he believes in Sheffield. Now, it's not the only thing that he's part of. He's actually the lead of Made in Sheffield, and I'll link that site there, and this is it here. So he actually runs that, and I'll show you his position within that. And again, it's all about promoting Sheffield. Made in Sheffield is the whole slogan. And like I say, he's an ambassador for the industry of Sheffield. So all these talks of maybe it going overseas and things like that is rubbish. So, like I say, it's being ran by the right person, and that's what I mean. It's a dream team. You've got Charles Turner, who was an ex-master cutler, runs Made in Sheffield, and then you've got Stephen Cocker. So those two together, I can see doing some great things with the brands and with the company. So let's talk a bit about the master cutler role anyway. So I think I've shown it on the channel before, that you've got Hallamshire, it's called Cutler's Hall, and it's bang in the centre of Sheffield. It's a phenomenal building. It's a really beautiful building. It's right in the centre, and that's where the Master Cutler resides. It's right across from the actual Sheffield Cathedral. In that cathedral, there's a nice plaque to Joseph Rodgers. That's how deep-rooted these brands are within Sheffield. But yeah, so, and of course, the whole idea of the Cutler's Hall is that it's house of the Company of Cutlers in Hallamshire, and that was established in 1624, and that was to sort of again look after all the cutlery companies and industry within Sheffield, and they have a register of all the cutlers and things like that. There's this brilliant sort of brass plaque showing you all the master cutlers that came before and are still going now. It's a brilliant building and phenomenal, like I said, being bang in the centre, and that's where that knife came from this year. It's actually to celebrate the sort of anniversary of the company of the Hallamshire the company of cutlers of Hallamshire. So, and it's a phenomenal knife, and again, it was done by the Eggington Group, and hopefully I will get that to show on the channel.
But yeah, an absolutely phenomenal knife. And like you say, this is who we're dealing with now. So we've got Charles Turner sort of in the running it, and you've got Stephen Cocker on the shop floor. So that's what I mean. It's a dream team, and it couldn't be in better hands as far as I'm concerned. And something that Stephen has actually shared with me is these are dies for a 1955 I-XL Barlow, and these will be things that they'll be using. I know Stephen shared that Joseph Rodgers will be doing that Warncliffe Whittler sort of pattern and frame, and that's what I think we're going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing more patterns and frames and knives from their historic past, and I'm really excited to see where they're going to go in the future, and hopefully get a lot of knives to show on the channel. So just a quick one, but a lot to sort of talk about and discuss. So Durham Duplex are now the new owners. The acquisition is going through as we speak. Stephen Cocker is still securely and firmly in place, training up the next generation of cutlers. He actually trained up his wife as well. I think she may even be his boss, but it's brilliant to see. And there's a fantastic video actually on the Eggington Group that's still on YouTube, and it sort of shows them. And I think I posted it when it first came out on my community page, but again, I'll probably put that down below as well. But yeah, I really wanted to do this video, so hopefully, like I say, give me until the 5th. I'll try and keep doing videos when I get the time, but as you can tell, it takes a bit of editing and time out of my day. But I love this channel, and I love talking about things like this. So I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope it put things in a bit of perspective, and like I say, I'm very excited and confident about the future of these most historic brands in Sheffield. Right, thanks all for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.